With the techniques, usually with reflexology, the true reflexologist will actually just compress on an area, and they'll actually watch for reactions of the client. So if it's a little bit tender, and sometimes they'll actually stay at an area for a little bit too, so they'll actually kind of bend like this. But you want to make sure that your nails aren't too long either, because when your nails are too long, you can actually kind of dig into the foot region. And some people actually kind of bend the thumb area, or actually have the thumb on top of thumb to add a little pressure to that way. So I myself, I'm not using any oils or creams or anything else with this treatment. But again, you can use baby powder with it. That's what I usually prefer to use. So if they want, you can actually incorporate a little gliding into the treatment. Usually helps. Okay, they can also compress an area. So let's say for the long chest, breast region, we're going to compress there. Then you can also extend the toes just so you don't have to use as much pressure. Some people actually use tools. They use, it's called a T-bar. It's two wooden dolls. One doll going this way, and another wooden doll going this way, and there's a rubber stopper on the end. So you can actually use it to get a little bit more pressure so you don't burn out your thumbs or your fingers with reflexology. A lot of reflexologists actually sit down during the treatment, but again, everybody's going to be a little bit different, so it all depends on what you can handle. But some of the techniques will actually be standing up to get a little bit more traction with it, so if you're going to incorporate any kind of stretching with the treatment, that's what you can incorporate into it. So with the sinuses, a lot of times people actually kind of pinch the toes, pinch and hold. But on the side of the toes, if you believe in Asian medicine, a lot of the meridians usually start or end on the side of the toes, and it's going to be a little bit more sensitive in those regions. So it could be something with the meridians that it's actually affected. But a lot of people mix up Asian medicine, like shiatsu, acupuncture, those kind of modalities, and they think reflexology is the same stuff, but it's not. It's a totally different belief system. So that's what a lot of massage techniques are. It's a lot of the same times it's the same techniques, but it's just different ideas and beliefs behind the theory of it. So if you're going to really understand anything with reflexology, you really get into depth about the theory and the history of it, so you can be able to explain it to the actual client then. Okay, so with this, you can actually compress and kind of circle, go right in a friction movement, go right around. Some people actually use more of their knuckle, or you can actually push in, kind of brace it. And some people believe to actually hold that area maybe for 20 to 30 seconds with moderate pressure. And some people, again, believe hurt so good kind of feeling. Other ones want more of a relaxing treatment. So it all depends on what the client wants. So that's why you want to actually ask them what they actually prefer, just to make sure then. And then the reason why I have my hand on the other side is just so I can brace it a little bit. So you can actually kind of push in both directions, so you don't have to work as hard. Because if I'm not, I have to use this hand still to get a little bit more pressure. Otherwise, you can actually use both thumbs to get in these regions too. But again, each area you could hold out for a little bit. And again, be careful of diagnosing with the client. Make sure they're aware of that it's more of the actual nerve endings for those organs or parts of the body that it's kind of referring to. You can also kind of compress like this. So I'm wrapping it, so kind of like praying for pain. So just compressing those regions. Or you can actually plant your thumb in an area and actually kind of wrap around. So again, lung, chest, breast area. That's the area I'm at right now. If you want it up a little bit higher, that's the eyes and the ears. Do you remember just below the digits? Some people call them digits instead of toes. It's just a different term. Also phalanges they're known as too. And with pregnant women, you want to stay away from right around the ankles. That's considered the ovaries and uterus region for the pregnant woman. So when they're actually going through the labor process, they say it's okay to actually massage that area or compress that area. But otherwise, you want to try to stay away from that. So that's kind of an endangered site. Even if you don't totally believe in reflexology, still abide by it because you know about it, and a lot of people will actually abide by it just to make sure. Okay, and then you can also kind of slide your knuckle. So again, some reflexologists, they'll just compress an area, hold it, and some will actually incorporate a little bit of movement into the treatment. Some people actually use more of their knuckles. You can actually kind of roll it around like this, kind of like a piano, like you're playing piano. Or some people actually kind of rotate and just go down the foot. Especially if somebody has more like plantar fasciitis, it's going to be a lot more tender down this area too. But right around the calcaneus region, sometimes they have heel spurs. But again, don't diagnose. If it's really painful in that region, just tell them to get it checked out by a doctor just to be safe. Don't mention anything about heel spurs, just to be safe. Okay, for right the calcaneus region. So on the lateral side, that's more of the sciatic nerve that runs down. So what we're going to do is actually kind of cup, kind of squeeze the calcaneus. Some people actually just kind of rotate it around too with the foot. You're probably thinking, how can somebody actually spend an hour just on the feet region? But if you incorporate these techniques, take it a little bit slow, and usually in general, at least 3 times for each technique. Even though in this video I'm not going to perform each technique 3 times, but in general, try to actually have kind of go slow with the techniques too. Okay, one that a lot of reflexologists will actually use is called thumb walking. So I actually can just kind of going back and forth. Some people call it inching, so that's another term you might hear. So you can actually go many different areas. You can even come back a little bit too, but make sure you brace one area with the treatment. So again, with reflexology, the areas that you're concentrating on, you can even have a chart right at the end of the table. They won't even know. A lot of times you can actually just tape it here. Otherwise you're going to have one on the wall until you really get good at reflexology. But you have to use it on a regular basis to really understand where everything is at, just to be safe.